Hello, welcome to the Pond5 Town Hall. I'm Greg, this is Scott. We're gonna get started in just a couple of minutes. We're gonna let a few more people trickle in. You guys can see that you can actually add questions and comments in the chat. There are instructions underneath the video on how to get that set up. So again, we're just gonna give it a couple more minutes here and then we'll be getting started. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started here. So my name is Greg, I work in artist relations. Some of you may know me. If you don't, it's great to meet you. Thanks for joining. And I am joined today with Scott Kohler. Scott is our GM of Artists and Content. Scott is gonna be running us through some really exciting data today. But before we go ahead and get started with that, just a quick moment to say thanks to you guys, our artist community. You guys really are the reason behind all of our success here at Pond5. We're very happy to be able to host an event like this. We always try to be as transparent and communicative as we can possibly can. And particularly today, we'd like to give you some insight into why we test, how we test, and let you see how we arrive at making a decision to move forward with an initiative like this. So as I said at the beginning, you will be able to send us questions and comments throughout the presentation. Please do go ahead and do that. We'll be taking some time after at the end to answer some of those live on the air. So without further ado, I'm gonna throw it over to Scott.
Terrific. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I'm really excited to share some information with you guys today. This is, I've been doing product and marketing work for almost 25 years now. And this test we're about to share with you is one of the few examples where it's a clear winner. And I'm so excited to take you guys through this. But before we do, let me bring up the screen here. Okay. All right. So before I get too far into this, I want to take a moment and just share with you, we try and keep things really simple. It's always easiest for us if we can keep things simple. And these are the strategies that we use every day, we think about all the time. And they're pretty straightforward, right? Build the best marketplace for high value and exclusive content. Optimize the performance of our marketplace. And support our artists and create ways for them to earn more money. Really, almost everything we do at Pond5 leads up to those things. But let me take a moment to just go through each one in a little bit more detail. The first one, building the best marketplace. Really what we try and do is we try and make sure that we have a great, broad collection of high production value, unique and original content. And we seek content from all manners of people and individuals around the planet. We want to be the biggest marketplace. We want to maintain that status. And we really try and take in as much content as we can. Wherever possible, we try and get content exclusively for Pond5. We do this because when our buyers find something that's unique and they realize they can only get it at Pond5, they come back again and again and again. And we love that recurring business from our buyers because it means more revenue for our artists. Don't get me wrong, we love all the content that we get. And it's really important that we get the non-exclusive content as well. But what we worry about with non-exclusive content is that if a buyer finds they can get the exact same content on multiple marketplaces, they start to shop on price. And really that hurts all of us because it turns your work into a commodity and it drives down the overall price of the marketplace. And so I wanted to call that out because it's something we think about a lot. The second one, optimizing performance of the marketplace. You know, we have a content team that works closely with a marketing team to promote our brand, to promote our content, and to promote our artists. And we spend a ton of money on this every year just to drive new traffic to the site. We also have a big team of developers and data scientists actually who maintain our industry-leading search engine. Really, I mean, honestly, like the search engine capability we've built here, and it was built long before I came to join Pond5, but it's really an amazing piece of algorithmic technology. It's pretty awesome. And it's one of the things that we know our competition looks at really closely because we're able to deliver relevant content with very little information and very quickly. And so we're really proud of it. We also have a dedicated product team that focuses on every little function in the marketplace and optimizing the performance so that we can drive the most sales possible. And really, this is why we're here today, but I want to call this out because we strive to improve every single function that can drive sales. And we see testing as an important part of what we do and actually an obligation that we owe you guys to generate as much revenue as we can. And that's really what we're going to go in today as the result of what is probably our biggest test ever on Pond5. And I don't want to leave the page without talking a little bit about supporting our artists and creating ways for people to earn. You know, really over the past couple of years, we've launched a number of different products that create incremental revenue for our contributors. The extended licenses, we've started to, you know, create little add-ons that our buyers can buy that generate just more money from the same sale. We spend a lot of time thinking about this and trying to maximize the price that we can get for those things. We're also expanding our reach out to incremental buyers, right? Trying to reach markets that we're not optimally penetrated into, different segments of the market. Like today, we're talking about social media marketers, and we're also looking for partnership opportunities to distribute your content to broader geographies, to broader to broader parts of the market where they're not really even thinking about stock today. But they should be because it can help them in many ways to reduce their time and effort, to focus their budget, and all kinds of things. So that's really it. That's the core philosophy that we really follow. And every day, everyone here is thinking about these three things. Okay. All right, I want you just to take this in. You know, we've been spending a lot of time talking to our buyers. And when we talk to them, we already have a lot of people who are coming to Pond5 to purchase content that they then use for social media, okay? We also have a ton of buyers. 3 out of 4 buyers need video content for their social media marketing. Those are both huge percentages, right? And today what's happening is most of the buyers that are coming to Pond5 are building or purchasing things to build content for a non-social media channel. And then they're repurposing whatever they built for social media. They're not creating special content for their social channels because it's cost prohibitive. What they've said to us, and we did, I don't know, 100 interviews probably. What they've told us is that they would buy more content specifically for social if we could help them do it in a way that was more cost effective. And that's really what helped to drive this. It was one of the insights that drove the creation of this test we're going to go through today. So I want to pause just for a second and take a slight detour and just talk about social media marketing and why it matters. You know, not everyone spends all their time online and in these channels. I know my wife absolutely loves Facebook, but I haven't been on in probably a year and a half. Instagram is something that I know a lot of people here at Pond5 use every day to share to videos of photography that they've done. And YouTube, of course, is a huge channel. And I just wanted to put some of these numbers up to give you guys a sense of when you're a marketer and you're trying to bring your product to market and get people to know about it, these channels are unbelievably important. And they're all not necessarily video themed, but video is a big part of getting to these audiences. And you can just see these numbers. You know, YouTube, 1.9 billion monthly viewers. Instagram, 1 billion monthly viewers. Facebook, 2.27. I mean, they're just huge numbers. They're hard to even to conceptualize, really. And then I love these ones down here, you know, the sort of like more the color commentary, so to speak. 1 billion hours of video watched every day. The number of videos created each day has quadrupled, 4 times as big as it was in 2017 already. And 100 million hours of video watched every day. I mean, they're just absolutely huge numbers. And so when we talk about social media marketers, we're talking about people who want to leverage these social media channels to deliver messages about their product, about their service, to engage an audience. So that's really what we're talking about. So how do we do this? You know, I guess it's important to sort of like state it succinctly. What we thought is that if you offer a low cost, low resolution option for social media marketers, we believed we could drive incremental sales. We also hoped that it would drive new buyers into Pond5 that might not have considered us before. And we were very concerned that our core audience buying from us today would trade off full price HD for the lower price, lower resolution content. We were very worried about that going into this test. So what we did is we pulled what we call a match set of HD content, meaning we pulled a sample of content. All the content in the sample had a similar age, a similar sales performance history, was balanced across our taxonomies or categories. And then we took that sample we created and we split it into 3 equal chunks. One, we left as a control and we didn't change it all. We just held it out to see what would happen to those guys. Then we took another third of it and we set the low resolution price at $25. And then in the third group, we were really aggressive and we tested a $15 price point for the low resolution content. I think I started this by saying, you know, that I've been doing this for almost 25 years now. I have never seen, well, not never, it's a handful, like less than 5 tests have I ever seen that were as clear as the results here, and they were pretty outstanding. So let me go right to it. Number 1, items that we offered with a web option drove more total revenue. So any clip that was offered with a web-only variant generated more revenue. Both web versions, meaning the $15 and the $25 price point, generated more revenue than the control with no web price point. And the $15 version won by just a little bit. Number 2, and I think this is the thing that was most astonishing and most important to us, was that there was no cannibalization of HD revenue. People who were buying the web format were not making a trade-off decision. It was almost purely incremental revenue, new people coming in and buying the web content. Clips with the web version offered alongside the original HD version generated as much revenue from the HD version as the control. So I'm going to show you that in a second, but I wanted to just state it first. The third thing that was great for us was that items with a web option received more first-time buyer sales than the control version. And so what that means is by offering a web version, we were able to convert more people for the first time and start to purchase at Pond5. That's great news for all of us, because the more people that come in and buy from us, the better. And especially some of these folks are earlier in their career, so it's bringing in new audience segments that may not have ever considered us before. So this was very exciting news. So those are the words. Let me show you the graph that illustrates this. In the upper left-hand side, you see the revenue per item offered. And so what you see is the blue bar represents HD revenue. And this is done on an indexed basis, which means that the no web version is the control. So the revenue they got is considered 100%. In the $15 version, we got slightly less than 100%. It's actually about 98.5% associated with HD. Give us 1 second here. Okay, yeah, I guess the slide didn't show up, so let me take a step back. In the upper left-hand side, you see a graph that shows the revenue per item offered. The no web is the control group. There was no web version offered to those HD clips, and that was our control, so that's the 100%. For the $15 web version, you see that they got almost as much HD revenue. Okay, give us a second. Nothing better than live TV, right?
Okay, we should be good.
Okay. All right.
This is the best slide too.
I know. This is the money slide, and we keep losing it. Okay, so once again, I'm just going to start from the beginning to make sure everyone gets this. Like, in the upper left-hand corner is revenue per item offered. The blue bar represents how much revenue was generated by the HD version. And you can see that the blue bar is almost exactly the same height all the way across, from the no web version to the $15 web version to the $25 web version. And I say almost because the $15 web version actually generated about 98.5% as much revenue as the no web version. But the $25 web version actually drove 101% of the revenue as compared to the control version. So there's a little bit of noise in the sample, but basically they were the same. That was like, we would consider that an insignificant difference in the amount of revenue driven by HD. The exciting part is the web revenue generated. We saw about a 10% lift in the total revenue delivered to artists who were in the test segments relative to the ones who had no web option. So it ticks off 2 boxes for us. It generated more total revenue, and it also generated no cannibalization from the HD. Okay, and the graph on the lower right, it's the sales from new buyers. And again, it's done as an index. I guess I lost my labels here, but the no web is 100%. And you can see that we got, from HD, we got slightly more new buyers from the $15 web version and about the same from 25. Again, those are marginal differences that we consider insignificant statistically. But what you can see is that the number of new buyers generated by web was almost twice as high. So we got almost twice as many new buyers that were attracted to this new format. And this is really exciting. Wasn't anticipated. We thought we'd get some new, but we weren't anticipating it being quite so high. Again, great news. Okay, so give me 1 second. My computer's catching up. There we go. What did we hear from you all? Okay, there's a couple things. There's a lot of stuff. These are actual quotes, things we heard from folks. So with everything we do, we get a lot of feedback. It's one of the things I love about being at Pond5 is that our artist community is so engaged and willing to share their opinions. And the feedback we got, ran from concern to confusion to a little bit of anger, all the way to some excitement. There were 3 themes, though, that came out loud and clear when you look at all the feedback together. The first one was that some of our artists were concerned about permission and control. So they said things like, I should have been notified, is there an opt-out, that sort of thing. And this test may have felt odd because it was so big. We did so many pieces of content all at once, but we test all the time. We're always playing with pricing, playing with versions and alterations, changing with different flows within the user experience. We do this all the time. This one happened to be so big that a lot more people felt the test than normal. And that's we think why there was a lot of concern around this. Another thing we heard was concern about the price point. A lot of people were very unhappy to see the $15 price point because they felt like it cheapen their work, or they said things to us like, I'm on Pond5 because I can set my own price and I want to set it nice and high. So they felt like we were undermining their premium pricing by offering a $15 version. And there were a few that came to us and said things like, it's a race to the bottom. It's the beginning of the end. You know, I know a lot of our contributors have experience in photo as well. And in photo, there was definitely a lot more pricing pressure, and prices sort of fell off a cliff at a certain point. We recognize this, and it's one of the things that we think about all the time, because we don't want that to happen, and we do our best not to let that happen. And I think we've been able to, in the rollout plan, address all of these concerns. So give me a second and I'll get there. I wanted to share with you one other thing though, which is we also reached out and did an artist survey recently. And in it, we asked the question, we're thinking about rolling out a web format for social channels priced between $15 and $50. If we can demonstrate that sales will be incremental, would you participate? And we saw that almost half, 47% of responders said, I would love to be a part of that. Well, maybe they didn't say I love, but they said they said they support the decision. And another 44% said, I'd like some more information, and it gets cut off for whatever reason here. Maybe I need some more information is what the yellow bar represents. And that was another 40%, another 44%. Only 6%, 1 in 20 people that responded to the survey said, I don't want to do this. So we see this as a very positive response, and we're hoping that the data we've shown you today will help you, those folks that are in the 44%, come over the top and come over to the support side. So how are we going to do this? And what are we going to do, I guess, is the other question. We are now planning to introduce a web format, a new down-converted video format. The way we're going to do this is we're going to roll out the next phase of testing where we go even more broad. We've done our best to address many of the concerns we've heard, and I guess I should take a moment to just walk through this. We're going to call the format web. We're going to stick to a 480p height. We're going to down convert all native 4K and HD content and offer it for sale as web. We're going to exclude archival content. We're going to exclude stuff that's uploaded in SD content, or I'm sorry, as an SD format. And we're going to exclude VR and 360 content from this web offering. In terms of pricing, we're going to leverage the same mechanisms we do today for HD down converts. For 4K content that's uploaded, web will be priced proportionally as 20% of the 4K price. And for natively uploaded HD content, web will be priced at 40% of the HD price. The web only minimum price will be set to $20, just $5 below our minimum for HD. And so, for example, if my 4K price is a US $120, so I'm going to put up my clip and I'm going to offer it at $120, it would be in the background down converted to HD for a price of $60. That doesn't change from the way it is today. But we would also down convert it to a web format and price it at $24. I hope that makes sense. We're not offering an opt-out for down converted content. However, we're going to give you two options that we think put the control for how you want to offer this in your hands. The first is you still have control over price. You can price your content at whatever price you want, as long as you're not offering the same content on another website for less. That's one thing that's important to us, because we can't have your content that's somewhere else priced at a higher rate than somewhere else. But you also will still have the opportunity to adjust this proportion as you do today, so that you could set your web format pricing in a different proportion of your HD and 4K price. I hope that makes sense. I know this option's available, but not everyone takes advantage of it. You know, for us, we think that this pricing is very much in line with the market, and will put you in a place where you'll have a very competitive price and a fair price relative to what these social media folks are interested in paying. But it's up to you. We leave the control to you guys. When we roll it out, we're going to unroll it. This is just one of our detail pages, and you can see that we've just added a new format type. Some of this is still in the works, so it might be slightly different when it goes live, but we're going to include marketing language that says suggested for social media use. Down at the bottom, you can see that there's still the individual license included, and web content can be upgraded to business and premium licenses. You may think it's strange that someone would buy the lowest format and cheapest version of a clip and then upgrade it with a license, but it's actually something we see happen pretty frequently. In fact, we've been noticing more and more people are buying sound effects, and sound effects can be $1, $2, or $3. They'll buy a $2 sound effect, and then they'll purchase the $300 extended license on that clip. You just can't tell what the buyer is going to do, and so we want to give them this upgrade path so that we can generate as much revenue as possible. Okay, so that was a lot of information. I just wanted to run through a quick summary. We've covered a real lot. So, the first thing is the web test showed us that we can increase revenue, convert more first-time buyers, and not impact your HD sales. So we feel pretty good about that. In the feedback you guys provided, we felt like there was general support, but there was definitely some concern about pricing control. And I think we've done our best to make those controls available to you so that if you don't feel good about this, you have a few ways you can control your price, even though we're not providing an opt-out. Our next phase of testing is going to launch before the end of this year. So we're narrowing in on a date sometime in December, but we really want to get this live as soon as possible because it's tied to a lot of revenue. Yeah, I mean, I guess I debated whether or not to say this or not, but we're expecting this test is going to allow us to pay out between $1 million and $2 million to our artist community next year. So we see this as a really important and powerful test that shows how we're supporting our artists and creating new ways to earn. We believe it's a good thing. And like I said in the very beginning, we look at this and we feel like we have an obligation to our artist community to test and test and test. And the success of this test makes us confident and want to go out and test more. So this is sort of our heads up that we will continue testing with larger and larger and broad scale marketplace tests of this type in the coming year. It's something really important, and we think it benefits everyone. So yeah, that's the presentation. I'm sure you have questions. So we'll give it over to Greg, and you can control it from here.
Great. Yes, we will answer some questions now. Scott, thanks for running us through that. That's really compelling data. I've obviously seen it already, but every time I'm kind of amazed by the pure incrementality of that revenue. It really seems like you said, a slam dunk. But let's go ahead and let's answer some of your questions now that have been coming in. We had a question here asking how many items did you put in the test and for how long a time, and how many contributors were involved? It's a good question. It's always good to know the parameters of any test that we're giving you guys data on. So there were slightly over 12,000 contributors who were included in this test. A total of about 80,000 clips in each test group. And as Scott explained, we really tried our best to balance out those groups to make sure they gave an equal representation of a broad kind of slice of our marketplace. In terms of how long it ran, do you have
ran about 8 weeks.
About 8 weeks. Okay, so yeah, so we're very comfortable with the size of the sample and the period of time that it ran for.
I mean, to be completely honest, I was about to say our data geeks, but I should say our data scientist. Our data scientist told us after 3 weeks that there was a clear result. They said, this is obviously driving incrementality. We think this is a really good thing. We don't see any cannibalization, but we ran it for another 5 weeks just so we could all feel really comfortable, because the last thing in the world we wanted to do was cannibalize our HD sales. That's no good for anyone. But we actually ran it 5 more weeks just to make us, make this group right here feel comfortable about it.
Great. Here's another question. This is a good one. This is about, do buyers want horizontal or vertical shots, and what kind of content are social media marketers looking for? What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, so that's a good one. You know, it's interesting because what we found is that because social media formats can be lower resolution, people are interested in all types. So we're starting to get some folks uploading editorial and, you know, real authentic type stuff that's in a vertical format. We have a little trouble consuming it, frankly, right? It's one of the things on our roadmap to fix, because when you upload a vertical format, it actually appears horizontal in our display, which is not great. Our social media marketers don't seem to have a preference. They seem to work with whatever they can find. They generally have a shot in mind, and if they can find that shot, they work with it. So we haven't seen a real preference for either, but getting more horizontal video is, or I'm sorry, more vertical video is something we've been thinking about, and we know we have to address.
Great. Here's another question. When do you estimate this will go live? So we actually do not have a firm launch date on this yet, but we know that it will be sometime in December. We'll also be sending out an email letting you know that it's live. And I know that you guys will be checking. You check your content all the time, so you'll definitely see. But before the end of the year, sometime in December, you'll be seeing the web option live on the site.
And there will be, again, this is the next phase in testing.
Right.
So there will be some content held out so we can continue to evaluate the risk of cannibalization of HD. So if you see a few pieces of your content are held out and don't have the web version, don't be scared. We're doing that to, again, just ensure there's no cannibalization of HD once we roll it out to a broader segment.
Yeah. The testing, as Scott said, never ends here. So we like to think of it less as a rollout and more as a phase 2 of the test.
Exactly.
You know, if suddenly things go off a cliff, obviously we would readjust our plan. That's, you know, our interests are completely aligned on this. So let's see, we have some more questions here. We have a question here, which I think we answered, but we'll go over it again. The question is, can I opt out of the program? And what if I only want to make some of my clips available in web resolution? We're not making this program an opt-out. We really believe that having the entire library available as web is what's going to drive the most incremental revenue for us and for you. We do have mechanisms in place to let you guys set pricing that you're comfortable with for the web resolution. And so, you know, that's kind of our way around this. If you're not comfortable offering it for a much lower price than your master price, you can set a custom percentage. You can do that on your preferences page. So no official opt-out, but that's how we're going to let you guys control, you know, what your content sells for. Let's see what we have here. Okay, Scott, this is one maybe for you. This one says, since this is the emerging market, is it not wise to keep prices higher instead of running to the basement? What can we say about that?
Yes, that's a good one. You know, I mean, there are a couple different strategies we discussed, right? We talked about, you know, when we did the test, the $15 option beat the $25 option. So there was definitely, like, just as we were sort of like talking this through internally, there was definitely a thought that we should be pushing these prices as low as possible. And then there was another contingent of folks that was saying that, well, what does it cost on other prices? Should we be matching our prices to a higher market set? What should we do to maximize the revenue here? And what we decided is that we feel like there's a supply and demand curve here that's happening. And we're trying to test where that intersection is, where we get the optimum number of sales at the highest possible price. And that's really what we're testing for. And we're going to continue to test here and in other parts of the market. For the moment, we said it's less about us setting the price, and it's more about giving the control back to our community. That's what we felt like we heard from you guys, is that you wanted to have some control over this. So yes, we set the proportion at a reasonably low rate. And like the example showed, if you're a $120 4K clip, you're going to be offering your web version at $24. We think that's a good place to start. That's a good, fair price for the type of use that these guys are going after. But again, you control your price, and you control the proportion of what your web is offered at. So it's really up to you.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of dovetailing onto that, there was a question here about, you know, can you tell us some of the stats on high selling subject matter? You know, this is all in the context of the fact that there definitely is a still very strong and growing market for high-priced full-res content.
Definitely.
In fact, we're seeing the average sale price and value of a transaction going up generally across our marketplace. So let's keep this in the context of that discussion as well. We're always going to be pushing for those, full resolution sales. That's our bread and butter. We never want to see any eating into those. We're very happy with the fact that, we're seeing a lot of extended and premium licenses being tacked on, and that's still, the majority of our business, and we're seeing those prices rise, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Cool. There's a bunch of questions here on, kind of what to shoot specifically for social media versus for, non-social media buyers. I think we have our thoughts on that. It's probably something that we're going to tackle in detail as this rolls out and some other projects come down the pipe with a shoot brief or information like that, which is we're going to make available to you guys. But as Scott said, a lot of these people it's not so much, that, oh, I have to immediately go out and shoot, a viral video of cats or something like that.
Right.
They want the same stuff that's in our marketplace. They just want it at a resolution and a price point that makes sense for them.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, our if we just channel our art directors for a second, they'll tell you that the best thing you can do is shoot content that is versatile, that can be used as a lot of different things. So think about, the shots you see in commercial advertising all the time: a family having dinner, a couple walking on the beach, a child playing with a dog. Like those are the things that are conceptual and can be used in a lot of different instances. And those things tend to sell over and over again because they have multiple uses. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm sure they'd say it more eloquently than I did.
Yes. There'll be more on that soon. Here's a question about, as an artist, do we need to upload only one time in 4K or HD, and will Pond5 downsize the quality, or does the artist have to upload every format? Absolutely not. Please just upload one master file in full res, whether that's HD or 4K. Pond5 will create those down converted lower resolutions.
We'll do it for you. We want to make it as easy as possible.
Here's a question. I still don't understand what web means, SD, when most phones now shoot 4K. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I mean, this is actually, we spent a lot of time debating this because there were a whole bunch of, as you can imagine, there were a whole bunch of opinions and school of thought on this. First and foremost, we're calling the new format type web because we want to signal that this is for digital use. This is suggested for social media. It's perfect for your YouTube channel. It's perfect for your Instagram feed. If you're a small business and you want to run this in the background of your mobile site experience, this is a great use for it. We want to push people into thinking about this format type in that way. That's sort of separate from the fact that depending on who you are, you may want to use different content for different channels. Like, I spent a lot of time earlier in my career at large organization, big Fortune 500 brands, and they would always pick the highest format resolution that they could. So they'd buy the 4K just so they had it. You know what I mean? They just wanted to have access to the best possible resolution so they could cut it and trim it and resize it in any way they wanted to. On the other hand, I've worked with small businesses, and in a small business session, they're like, I just got to put something out on my Instagram feed because I want people to come in and buy flowers from me on Mother's Day, right? And for those guys, they don't need a 4K video. And so they're more than happy to take the SD content and make it work for who they are. So it's giving people the option and trying to make our content accessible to more and different people creating content.
We have a sort of a general question here that I'll take the opportunity to just answer. Someone wants to know, can we see how many times a clip has been purchased? How many times a clip has been downloaded? Yes, this is all information that you should have available to you within your Pond5 account, both on your My Uploads page by viewing the stats and on the individual item pages. If you're logged in, you should be able to see the number of downloads. If you need any more clarification on that, just send us an email at support@pond5.com. We have another question about the upload process and how we're going to make that smoother. So I was actually going to save this for the end, but this is a good piece of good news that I may as well just drop now, which is that We know that our uploader has been troublesome, to say the least. I know that you guys have experienced it. You've been frustrated by it. And I can say that I myself and my team here at Pond5 has been quite frustrated with it. So we're very excited to announce that we've dedicated a lot of resources to this. And before the end of this year, we're going to be rolling out big fixes to our uploader. So that's going to mean two very important things for you guys. It's going to mean a speed increase, which should be quite dramatic, and should also mean improvements on the reliability of the uploader. So fewer failed uploads. And I think we can all drink to that.
Yeah, and just to put it in context, it's going to depend on where in the world you are. But in our testing, we've been seeing a 50% increase in upload speeds that, depending again on your region and location, are as high as 2 or even 3 times as fast as they are today. So that's pretty exciting. And our goal on the reliability standpoint is to make an 80% reduction in the failure rate. That was our goal going into this. And so far that's playing true throughout our testing. We won't really know until it's live and everyone starts using it. But for the moment, we're feeling really good about this test, and we're looking forward to launching that again before the end of the year.
Yeah, that one is very exciting. I know you guys.
Is that cheers? Is that what I hear?
Okay, how about this one? Scott, is there anything else you want to say around exclusivity? We have a few questions about that and kind of like what we mean about that, or what details we could say about exclusive content on Pond5.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we've been thinking about a lot. You know, we're feeling a ton of competitive pressure in the marketplace where our main competitors are offering extremely low deals. So deal prices on a per download basis in the sub $10 and sometimes in the sub $1 range. It's just crazy low prices for video. And we've never, we've resisted for a long time going anywhere near these deals, but we're seeing the market move in that direction, because the more that Getty and Shutterstock offer these low prices, the more we're missing out on, and the more the market moves in that direction. And the thing that we finally put together was, what makes us different is that a huge chunk of our content is exclusively available on Pond5. And what we can tell buyers is, well, we have this whole set of content that no one else has, and the other set of content, which we've been trying to protect in the same way, the stuff that's available on other marketplaces, those artists have already accepted that they're going to sell at extremely low prices on these other marketplaces. So what we've been spending a lot of time thinking about is, how do we gather more exclusive content that makes us more interesting and compelling to our buyers? And how do we get out of this cycle of having the same content as everyone else that they want to pay really low prices for? So what you'll hear about some changes over the next 2 or 3 months, where we're thinking about how can we incentivize people to be exclusive with Pond5? How can we get them to move forward with an arrangement where they only offer their stuff on Pond5? And we're trying to figure out like what we can do to make that interesting or appealing to people. We've been talking a lot about it.
Yeah. So if you believe in high prices and protecting the creative value of your work, Pond5 is the platform that lets you do that.
Yeah, much better said.
Here's just a point of clarification here. We have another artist who's just asking us to repeat if the price for web size will be fixed to 20% of 4K, or if every author will be able to sell it as they wish. So we've gone through our presentation and we've shown you kind of what we think would be the best price point for it. That's going to be our default, which is 20% of your 4K price, but we're leaving the pricing control firmly in your hands, as we always do. So if you think that that's not a good price for your work, you can change that price. It seems pretty clear from our data that the buyers who are looking for this kind of content are somewhat price sensitive, and we think you'll probably get more incremental revenue if you keep it within the price ranges that we recommend. But every artist is different, and we respect that, so you'll have full control over that set price.
Yep.
Okay, let's see. I think we sort of touched on this, but maybe Scott, you want to just kind of hit it again, which is, we have a very astute questioner asking, are we going to regulate how the buyer uses the media and what license they get with this purchase?
Yeah. So, I mean, what we're doing is we're trying to aim squarely at folks that are marketing through social media. We've indicated that through the name, right, as web, and also through the language we're putting right under the format type that says suggested for social media use. That's what we're going to do to protect. We're not going to limit the license. What we believe we've done is we're putting strong suggestion into the marketplace that makes people feel like, oh, this is the stuff you use for social media. And again, also, we've talked to a ton of production companies that are making TV shows. And when we talk to them, they're not interested in this format. They're like, oh, my network would never allow that. So they're interested in the HD and the 4K content, and they're not going to buy this down convert. And again, we talked to about 100 of them, all said the same thing. That's not appropriate for my format or for my media type. And again, we saw strong evidence in the test that HD was not cannibalized. And we're going to continue to monitor in this next phase of testing to make sure that's the case.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's it in a nutshell. No one is using this kind of content for film or for broadcast. It's just not usable. And as our data showed, we didn't see any cannibalization, but this is phase 2 of testing. We're always going to keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that wraps up the question and answer portion. Thanks for sending in all those questions. Those are really good. If you had a question that didn't get addressed, you can always send it into support@pond5.com, or we'll respond to you as quickly as we can. There's one more piece of info that I just wanted to throw your guys' way. We mentioned the uploader, which we're really excited about. There's another piece of product that we'll be launching around the start of the new year, which is specifically for artists. So we're actually going to be releasing what we call the Pond5 contributor portal, which we're very excited about. It's going to be a dedicated part of the website for artists that's going to sort of consolidate all of our technical requirements and help documents. It's going to have everything kind of on the what to shoot side. It's going to house all of our shoot briefs that we're getting more and more prolific with. And it's going to have insights into data and things like that, popular search terms and that kind of stuff. So we're very excited to be launching that around the end of the year, and we'll be emailing you guys about that as well. So cool. I think that pretty much wraps it up. Scott, anything else from you?
Yeah, I would just, one more time say thanks. We like to say our goals are aligned with our contributors, but really, we wouldn't have a marketplace without you guys. So thank you so much for contributing. We love your work. We're really happy we have it and we can represent you in the marketplace. And if there's anything we can do for you, reach out to support. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.